Hi labs, welcome back to Olives. In this video, I will share with you how to draft a dartless dress, a simple tutorial that will help you to even transfer that simple pattern to different styles of your choice. If you are interested, please keep on watching and let's get right into this video. Here is the center front of my paper, while this side is the center back. I'll first use pencil to draft and I'll outline the important part with marker afterwards, okay? I'm also gone ahead to mark out my border lines and also my horizontal measurement, okay? So from the starting line, which is also the shoulder line, I marked out 8 inches as my chest line, 16.5 as my waistline, 26 as my hip, and 38 inches as my full length. For the width of my paper, I use the hip measurement because that is the biggest or widest part of our measurement, okay? So I divided it by 2 and added extra 4 inches because I intend to add allowance to the pattern, okay? So I'm going to divide this paper into 2 so I could have the front and the back. So in the cases where your bust or your waist is the widest part of your measurement or is your scale, that means that is what you use to calculate the amount of paper you need or even fabric you need to draft, okay? I'll start by dividing my shoulder to shoulder measurement by 2. So mine is 14 divided by 2 is 7. So I'm going to mark this 7 from the center front like this. Mark the same thing on the chest line. And I'll repeat the same thing on the back. I'll put these points to straight line. Since we are not working with that, we don't need our shoulder to nipple measurement, okay? I'll use a neck width of 3 inches and a neck depth of 3 inches. You can use your armhole curve to connect these points together to create your neckline, or you square up whatever points you have just as you see me doing, and then you can use your armhole curve as a guideline to create your neckline. On the back, I'll use neck width of 3 inches and a neck depth of 1 inch. You can surely go for your desired neckline, okay? I'll mark down my point and square and then connect the neckline together. Next, I'll mark my shoulder slope of 1 inch from the shoulder. Connect these points together like this. I'll divide this by 2 and mark the same thing on the armhole line. For we ladies, our front shoulder slope is deeper than the back slope. So for that reason, I'll come down by 1.25, mostly 1.5. I'll mark this 1.25 from the shoulder down as shoulder slope. Connect this to the neck point as shown. From this midpoint like this, I'll go in by 0.75, for the back 0.5. I'll connect this point to the shoulder slope like this. Repeat the same thing for the front as well. I'll move on to tighten the front shoulder with my right angle ruler like this, placing it this way so the excess will just be taken off, okay? I don't know if you've ever studied this. Usually when you sew, you end up having gape at your shoulder after sewing, okay? This is a way of eliminating it before you cut and sew. So sometimes you might want to do it for the back if your neckline is deep, okay? Usually too, when your necklines are deep, it makes your shoulder to gape more, okay? So you just have to tighten it if you have a deeper neckline, okay? The next thing is to input quarter of my round bust on the chest line. So I'll connect these points together to create my front armhole, okay? I will also repeat the same thing for the back. On the waistline, I'll mark quarter of my waist. I'll repeat the same thing again for the back. Connect the chest point to the waist. Now I'm going to find the midpoint of whatever I have here. And after marking, I'll go in by roughly 0.25 and I'll reconnect all these points together. We are done with the upper part, so we'll move ahead to work on the skirt part of this dress. Okay, so I'm going to find quarter of my hip, place it on the hip line. I'll mark the same thing from the center back, quarter of my hip. I'll connect the waist to the hip like this. On the hemline, I'll deduct 1 inch from quarter of my hip and place it here like this. Connect also to the hip point. Now I'm going to use my armhole curve to sort of blend everything together. I'll repeat the same process afterwards for the front. That is it for the front dartless full dress. Okay, now in the case where you want a cut and join, that means you want the bodies to be separated from the skirt, we would have to reduce the waist a bit by 1 inch. And by doing this, we are trying to reduce small lines from the center front. Okay, so I'll come down by 1 inch, then I'll connect this 1 inch to the waistline like this. I use the curve. You can also use a ruler. If we leave our back pattern like this, we are going to have folds at the back, or what we usually call zip bulge, especially when you fix zip. Okay, it means that our back is not as straight as our center back right now. Okay, so we need to shape it to fit our back. So I'll go in by 0.75 or 2 cm. That's on the waistline, and I'm going to connect this point to the top part of my bodice as shown. Now you can connect it up to the neckline, just close to the neckline or the midpoint of your back. Okay, now in case you have any intake from your back, especially on the chest line, you need to replace it. Okay, this means that if you locate your chest line and you have taken something off whilst connecting, you need to replace it on the chest line, that's at the side. Okay, I'll connect this same point from the waist to the hip line, just as you see. Now after eliminating the zip bulge, we have to replace whatever we took from the center back, otherwise our actual waist measurement will be reduced. Okay, so I'm going to go in by the same 2 cm, or from the new center back as you see me writing, I'm going to remark quarter of my waist on the waistline. Now I'm going to connect this to the chest line, just as you see. Now with my explanation earlier, the same way we've replaced the 2 cm we took from the waist, if you eliminate anything from the chest line, you replace it before you connect to the new waist. Okay, I also went ahead to connect the waist to the hip. In case you want to add zip extension, you start from your new center back, just as you see me doing. Okay, so that will serve as your zip allowance or zip extension. That is how to eliminate zip bulge or tighten your center back. Okay, I also went ahead to contour my hip. So the 2 cm I took from my waist, I took the same thing on the hem like this. That's from the center back, connected it to the hip, and after doing this I replaced it again just as we did on the waist. I replaced the same 2 cm at the side, connected it to the side hip. This method is really optional. I just wanted to include it to this pattern. I intended to add allowance right on the pattern, but we will do that whenever we are ready to make use of the pattern. Okay, but I added 1 inch to the hem of the skirts, both the front and back. Okay, I also placed necessary notches on the patterns. Your full back dress should look like this, but in case you want to separate it just like the front, we still need to eliminate something from the center back. Okay, I'll go up from the waist by 1.25. you can do 1 inch. I'll come down from the waist to the skirt by 1 inch. Now I'm going to connect my new side waist to each of the points I've marked. So we finally separated the back bodies from the skirt, and I'll move on to cut out everything. I hope this was helpful and you've learned something. If yes, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notification bell to be notified whenever I upload a new video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.